Okay, so get ready. Today we're going deep on Walt Disney,
Deep.
but not the Disney you think you know. We're going past the, Mickey Mouse and the theme parks
Right.
to uncover Walt Disney the futurist.
Mm.
I mean, if you're a Disney fan, you might think you know that side of him.
Yeah.
But I was surprised by a lot of the stuff in these two sources we're looking at.
Mm.
The incredible retrofuturism of Walt Disney and Tomorrowland, Walt Disney's futuristic dream.
Okay.
I mean, this guy, he wasn't just into making predictions, he was obsessed with building the future. Like, literally.
It's fascinating how much people tend to just put him in this, like, entertainment box.
Yeah.
But Disney's interests, I mean, they went way beyond just making movies and theme park rides.
Yeah.
He was really into exploring how technology could change our lives.
Not just change our lives, but improve our lives, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to see that in some of the projects he took on. Let's start with something that might surprise some people.
Okay.
Disney's fascination with space travel. Space.
Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't just about, whimsical cartoons.
Right.
He was genuinely passionate about space exploration. He really saw it as the next big frontier,
Yeah, absolutely.
And it wasn't enough for him to just dream about it either. In the 1950s, he goes and he teams up with Wernher von Braun,
Oh, wow.
the father of the V2 rocket.
Yeah.
And they made the series of films that, at the time really brought space travel to life for people.
I mean, it really captured people's imaginations.
Yeah, they were so well made. And you know what's wild?
Right.
They were incredibly accurate, these films, in terms of technology and challenges.
Oh, interesting.
The first film they did was Man in Space. That came out in 1955. And it actually showcased von Braun's rocket designs. And you know what? Those designs were super close to the rockets that NASA used later in real life.
I mean, how?
Yeah.
How did they know?
I know, right?
That's incredible.
So then in 56, they come out with Man in the Moon, which depicted a lunar mission
Yeah.
with these things called rotating space stations, which I thought was so cool.
Oh, interesting.
Giant wheels in space that spin to create artificial gravity,
Oh, wow.
which is something, by the way, that they're still grappling with today.
Yeah.
For the International Space Station and any long-term space habitation they have to deal with the health issues of zero gravity.
Yeah, right. Of course, yeah.
That they were already thinking about this back then is incredible.
It really is. It's amazing.
But they didn't stop there. They kept going. And in 57, they release Mars and Beyond, which, is basically about a journey to Mars, which we're still working on now.
Wow. Yeah.
Can you imagine seeing these films in the 50s when space travel was just a dream?
I mean, it must have been absolutely mind-blowing.
It must have felt like watching, a movie about another planet
Yeah.
or another world.
Yeah, for sure.
Not only did these films kind of spark the public's imagination, they actually helped fuel the space race. They showed that space travel wasn't just fantasy, it was achievable.
Yeah, you're right.
So, okay, Disney's got this passion for space, but he also was really interested in life here on Earth.
Right.
And that's where EPCOT comes in, his experimental prototype community of tomorrow.
EPCOT. That was huge. That was probably his most ambitious project ever.
Probably.
This vision of a city, not just a place to visit, but a real city where people would live that would constantly change and evolve.
Yeah.
To always be on the cutting edge.
Not a theme park, a real city.
Right, yeah.
This was going to be a massive circular city in Florida. And get this, twice the size of Manhattan.
Oh, my goodness.
It's hard to even imagine the scale of this thing.
Yeah.
He envisioned cutting-edge technology everywhere, homes that constantly got updated, monorail systems zipping all over.
Yeah.
People movers. It's like he was trying to build a movie set, but in real life.
Yeah, it's like a real-life science fiction movie, right?
Exactly. It's wild. And it makes you think about, Epcot kind of fits into this whole idea of a company town. Yeah.
Think of like Pullman, Illinois back in the day.
Yeah.
Where everything revolves around the one business.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, would living in Disney's future be a utopia? Or would it be, a little too controlled?
A little bit Big Brother-ish, maybe?
Yeah, maybe, right? And speaking of control, this EPCOT was designed to be completely car-free.
Oh, wow.
Pedestrian spaces were the priority. Imagine a city today designed around walking and public transportation.
That's so different from how we live today.
So different. But of course there's a catch.
What's the catch?
It's a big one.
Okay. Tell me.
Disney died too soon, 1966.
Oh, yeah.
And that really messed up the plans for EPCOT. He didn't get to see it built the way he wanted.
Right.
It makes you wonder, is that inevitable with these grand visions?
Mm-hmm.
Do they always get diluted when it comes to practical matters? Was Disney naive to think he could build this thing?
Yeah.
Or was he smart enough to know this was the only way to get any of it built?
Right. Because the EPCOT theme park we have today, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
But it's like EPCOT Light compared to what he originally had in mind.
Right.
It showcases global cultures and it showcases technological advancements generally,
Yeah.
But it's not a fully functioning, self-contained city. It's not what he wanted.
It's like we get a glimpse of what could have been.
Right.
But it also shows us how even the biggest, most ambitious dreams can get changed by things we can't predict.
And it makes you wonder, what would Disney think of the EPCOT we have today?
Yeah.
Would he be bummed? Would he be like, oh, you guys got it all wrong?
Yeah.
Or would he think of it as, a step in the right direction?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Hard to say. But even though EPCOT didn't become that city of the future he wanted, his interest in future tech, it kept popping up in other projects he did.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's like he couldn't help himself. Like that drive to explore what technology could do was just part of who he was.
It really was.
Yeah. Like the Monsanto House of the Future.
Oh, yeah.
Which they opened at Disneyland in 1957.
Yeah.
This was a walkthrough exhibit that gave people a little taste of what a home in the future might be like.
Yeah, and they got some stuff right.
They did?
Like they predicted ultrasonic dishwashers,
Wow.
microwaves everywhere, radiation-safe refrigerators, hands-free phones, and TVs all over the house.
It's amazing how much of that is just normal now.
I know, right? It's like, how did they know?
They were really thinking ahead.
It really shows how forward-thinking they were.
But it's kind of funny, right?
What?
Some of the companies involved, like, Monsanto, later became,
not so great.
Yeah, a little controversial.
It shows how progress isn't always, a straight line.
No, it's not a simple thing.
Yeah, and it makes you think, maybe we should be a little more careful about how quickly we embrace new technologies.
Right. Think about the consequences.
Exactly.
Not just the shiny new stuff.
Yeah, not all innovation is good innovation.
Yeah, and it feels like Disney himself maybe started to realize that
Yeah.
in some of his later work.
Like what?
Remember that short film from 1982, Fun with Mr. Future?
Oh, yeah.
That one felt different.
It did, yeah, more cynical.
Yeah, like poking fun at the idea that technology would make everything perfect.
Yeah, almost like be careful what you wish for kind of vibe.
Yeah, and showing this future where, people depend on gadgets so much that they might not actually be happy.
Yeah. Interesting how different that was from, Man in Space,
Yeah, totally different.
Man in Space was so optimistic and fun with Mr. Future. It was like
he was having second thoughts.
yeah, maybe this technology isn't all sunshine and rainbows.
He was starting to worry about the cost of all this progress.
It's a question we're still dealing with today, for sure.
Absolutely, more and more every day.
Yeah, so EPCOT was about a whole city.
Yeah.
But Disney was also into smaller scale progress,
Right.
like the People Mover,
Oh, yeah?
which he first showed at the 1964 World's Fair.
His idea was that this could solve traffic in cities.
The People Mover was such a cool idea.
Yeah.
Too bad it never really caught on.
I know, right? But it shows how he was always looking for ways to use technology to improve people's lives.
Not just dream it up, but make it useful.
Exactly. And how can we forget the Carousel of Progress?
Another classic.
Also from the 64 Women's Fair.
Yep.
And then it moved to Disney World.
It's a classic for a reason.
It's a great example of how he could make learning about technology fun.
And engaging, yeah.
It tells this story of progress, and it really captures that feeling of optimism people had about technology in the mid-20th century.
Yeah, the future was bright and full of cool gadgets.
Even though some of the predictions like flying cars haven't quite happened yet.
Not yet.
I still love it.
It's hard not to. It's so charming.
It reminds us that a little bit of optimism and imagination can really drive things forward.
Absolutely.
And then there's adventure through inner space.
Oh, yeah.
Which, talk about pushing boundaries, shrinking you down to the size of an atom.
Yeah, and then taking you on this trip through a snowflake.
What a concept.
It was a mind-blowing attraction. It blended imagination with cutting-edge technology in a way that no one had really seen before.
They really pulled it off.
It's like you're on this crazy ride.
Yeah.
Shrinking down, down, down.
They're getting smaller and smaller.
But you're also learning about science
Right.
and the natural world.
It's like, hey, even the tiniest things can be amazing.
Exactly, and it shows how much Disney believed that learning can be fun.
Not boring lectures.
No, like, make it an adventure.
Totally.
And it's also a reminder that technology can be about discovery, not just entertainment or making things easier.
Yeah, it can help us understand the world around us in new ways.
And Disney never lost sight of that.
Never.
Maybe this is a good time to pause and hear from you, our listeners.
Yeah, what do you think?
What stood out to you the most about Disney's vision of the future so far? The sheer scale of EPCOT? How accurate those space films were?
Or maybe that shift towards a more, like, wary view of technology.
Like in Fun with Mr. Future.
Yeah. What's got you thinking?
Wow. We've talked about a lot of stuff in this deep dive.
Have.
From space travel to company towns to ultrasonic dishwashers to being shrunk down to the size of an atom.
It's been a journey.
It really has. What's really struck me through all of this is how Walt Disney had this incredible imagination
Yeah,
and this belief that technology could make life better. I mean, he really believed it.
he did.
Yeah.
And, some of his ideas might seem a little, I don't know, naive or maybe even a little off from our perspective today.
Yeah, a little.
But we can't deny he made a huge impact.
Oh, for sure.
He wasn't just a dreamer. He actually made things happen.
Yeah, he took those big ideas and tried to build them in the real world.
He wasn't afraid to take risks, and push the limits of what people thought was possible.
I mean, some of his projects didn't work out the way he planned.
Sure.
But nobody can say he wasn't a futurist, an innovator.
Absolutely. And I think that's something really important for our listeners to take away from this.
What's up?
That we all have the power to shape the future. We don't have to just sit back and let technology happen to us.
We can be a part of it.
We can be a part of it. Disney's work, I think it challenges us to think about technology in our own lives.
How we use it.
And to make sure we're using it in a way that benefits everyone.
It's not just about the gadgets themselves, it's about how we use them.
Right, exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Walt Disney's retrofuturism, we want to leave you with one last thought.
Okay.
Technology is a tool. It's like any other tool. It can be used for good or for bad. It's our choice how we use it.
It really is.
Think about all the technology that's out there right now, the stuff that you get excited about.
Yeah.
What kind of future does that suggest? And what role do you want to play in making that future a reality?
Because just like Walt Disney, we all have the power to dream big and then actually make those dreams happen.
So go out there and make your mark on the future. That's it for our deep dive into Walt Disney's retrofuturism. Thanks for coming along on this journey with us. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep dreaming big.